Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the realm of Kidlit Comics. I know we are not downstairs. It's fine. Once again, I'm doing a video today where I'm going to be screen recording, and it's easier for me to do screen recording when I am upstairs as opposed to downstairs because, as I always say, all of my editing stuff is already up here. So, hello. As you can see by this title, I am here to predict the Goodreads YA fantasy and Goodreads YA fiction categories. I did do this video last year, and for each section, I think I was about 50% right. Goodreads pulled some ones out of the bag that I was not anticipating, and I pretty much figure it's going to be the same thing this year. If you did not know, the Goodreads Choice Awards are, I don't even know how to explain them. Really, honestly, it feels a lot like a popularity contest, and we don't even really know, honestly, what metrics Goodreads use as a whole when they're analyzing their data. The only things that we do know for sure is that at the time of qualification, a book has to have above a 3.50 average in terms of ratings, and that there is a certain publishing date that they use, which is typically November of the previous year to November of the current year. They actually have the specific dates listed, and I think that this year it's November 14th to November 11th. I could be kind of wrong about those dates. If I am, I will correct myself on screen. But those are the only surefire things that we know, right? And so making these predictions is kind of like just going out there into the wild and trying to figure out what would they most likely be looking at whenever they are deciding which of these books should be in the like semifinals. I think it's just semifinals and finals is what it is. Semifinals, finals, and winner. So I had fun doing this last year, and some things I was very, very confident about because just the number of ratings, the average rating, and I also take a tendency to look at the number of times a book has been shelved. Those helped me make some of those predictions early on, and I was very accurate in those predictions. However, some of them that I thought would work did not necessarily work, so it'll be interesting doing it again this year. I have already pulled all of my data together. It's the same thing that I did last year, and the only thing that we're doing is we're kind of walking through my spreadsheet and kind of noting what I feel confident about, what I'm kind of on the fence about, and what are some wild cards that could possibly be in there. I was able to call a couple of wild cards last year. It's just we'll talk about a couple of things because with YA fiction and YA fantasy, it's one of the last remaining categories that is for youth-related readers. In the past, they did have a middle grade section. They had a picture book section. They got rid of the graphic novel section. They got rid of the poetry section. And so there are a lot of categories that I think they just don't even take into consideration anymore, which is unfortunate because as much as we love to hate the Goodreads Choice Awards, it is a good opportunity for exposure, especially for like marginalized authors. It is that opportunity to kind of get your book and your name out there. And with middle grade authors, that was just like a key point of exposure, so it's just unfortunate. Do we typically see the same books win over and over again? Yes. I'm not here to have that conversation because it's one of those conversations that I think is inevitably kind of secular, where we know that there is not really equitable, and that's just the way that it is, unfortunately. Some things that we have noticed in the past in terms of trends: books that are on Kindle Unlimited, books that have gotten special treatment, books that are attached to Book of the Month, those have some ability to make it onto these lists, even if statistically it doesn't necessarily add up. And so we will take a look at a couple of those things. The reason why YA fantasy and YA fiction I think have not gone away, I'm trying to get all this housekeeping stuff out the way before we start. The reason why I think that those two categories have not gone away is because you have a lot of adult readers who read young adult fantasy, who are still kind of dipping and dabbling in that specific age category, in that specific genre. And you will see in comparison to YA fantasy and YA fiction has a lot less of a hold on adult readers than YA fantasy. And a lot of that has to do with this influx of people looking for fantasy romance, right? As a matter of fact, it's very interesting because I think that some people don't even realize that some of the books that are YA fantasy are in fact YA fantasy and not adult fantasy romance or romantasy, depending upon how you like to use your terminology. Although I do think that fantasy romance and romantasy are two different genres depending upon who you're talking to. I have my own thoughts about that, but I'm not going to delve into that. So I think that's the reason why you still have both of those categories. I think you cannot have one without the other. And the reason why these two are the ones for youth, these are youth categories, mind you, okay? They are youth categories. The reason why I do think that they've been able to hold on is because of that readership. And you will see the drastic difference in the number of ratings, the number of people who've added these books to their shelves. YA fantasy is always a little bit easier for me because there are always clear, distinct frontrunners, whereas with YA fiction, I usually feel confident about 5 to 8 titles, and then after that, it's kind of downhill. So I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can pull this thing up. All right, y'all, so here's my spreadsheet. I wonder if this is kind of too small for y'all to see, because I feel like, yeah, we're gonna zoom in a little bit because I have been using that zoom out feature for me because I need to see the spreadsheet from like a bigger angle. But for the sake of this, I'm like, no, we're gonna spread this out or make this a little bit bigger. Okay, so YA fiction predictions. Some of these are just so easy to call, right? I think that my top, I think maybe about up to number 10 and 11, I feel very, very confident. Okay. So of course, Sunrise on the Reaping, that's going to be on. There's no way that there's no way possible that Sunrise on the Reaping is not going to be on the YA fantasy list. I just don't see that happening. It has almost 1 million ratings already, right? The average is a 4.52, which is the highest of anything that you will see that I have listed. And it's been shelved almost 2 million times. 1.6 million times to be shelved is ridiculous. That is a lot of people who are interested in that book. It already has a lot of traction. So the ones that I think I'm sure about, I'm going to go ahead and mark in yellow. Sunrise on the Reaping, I think, is a given. Fearless by Lauren Roberts, given. Now, I know that there was a novella that came out, a 3.5 that also came out. However, the number of ratings on that and the average on that were significantly lower than Fearless. And with Fearless being the last book, each one of the books in the Powerless trilogy have made it onto the Goodreads Choice Awards. I do not foresee Fearless not making it onto this list. I would be very, very surprised if it doesn't. Same thing, honestly, with Rebel Witch. I want to say the other one, which is the Crimson Moth, which is the UK title. And it's amazing. I can remember the UK title, but I could never remember what. Oh, there it is. It's in my head now. Heartless Hunter. Crimson Moth comes first before Heartless Hunter, and I'm not sure why, because I definitely do not live in the UK, but that title for me, I feel like it's more memorable than Heartless Hunter. Heartless Hunter was on the list last year. I definitely foresee Rebel Witch being a part of it this year. I just don't see that being, like, not on the list. At 200,000 ratings, 4.2, and 461,000 people having it shelved, I don't see it not being there. Our Infinite Fates is one that I am confident about, but I could be wrong. And the only reason why I'm hesitant about Our Infinite Fates is that that rating is kind of dicey, right? It does have 51,000 ratings. However, that rating is at a 3.68. Now, on entry, it could be at a 3.5. That just can't shift between now and when the nominees are slated to come out, which is probably like the first week of November-ish, is typically when it does drop. It still has a good number of people having it shelved. So I do think that I feel confident about that one, but there's potential for it not to make it. Also, I do like to keep track of the ones that I have read. If you did not notice, I have this red column that I use. Watch Me by Tahara Mafi. Definitely, this is this new phase of the Shatter Me series. And although it's lower in the number of ratings, it's still really high. We're looking at, in comparison to everything else I have, is 48,000 ratings. It has a very good average rating, which is 4.27. To be only about maybe 3,000-4,000 less than Our Infinite Fates, and for it to be at a 4.27 speaks volumes. That is an interesting figure to look at. I always like to see in comparison to like how many times it's been shelved, the number of ratings, etc., etc. So 4.27 for me is a very, very high number for that amount of ratings. So I do think Watch Me is going to be on there. The Rose Bargain, I definitely think will be on there. It's still sitting at a relatively high rating at a 3.9. We're looking at 34,000 ratings. 158,000 people have shelved it. I think that that's a guarantee. Same thing with Wings of Starlight. Although I don't know if I've seen so many people talking about this, Alison Saft came out with this one this year. Her book, A Fragile Enchantment, did not make it last year, but I think that Wings of Starlight has a good shot at making it on the list this year. 31,000 ratings, and it is sitting at a 4.19, and 138,000 people have wanted to have this book at some point. They've shelved it on their shelves at some point. Another one that I think is going to be a guaranteed hit, Oathbound by Tracy Deonn. This got a lot of traction. There were a lot of conversations around Oathbound this year. A lot of people reading Oathbound. Although it is not as high as something like Sunrise on the Reaping or Fearless or Rebel Witch, the Legendborn cycle has a very loyal fan base. So we're looking at 23,000 ratings already. 4.26. It is literally just under Watch Me by Tahara Mafi, and 103,000 people have it on their shelf somewhere at some point. I do think that that is a huge thing. Now, Immortal Consequences was a wild bag for me. It was for a hot second. It was. However, if I'm not mistaken, I can't remember if it got Book of the Month treatment or not. We're about to find out if it did or if it didn't. But I feel like it did, okay? So, Immortal Consequences was attached to Book of the Month. Our Infinite Fates, that was the other thing too. Our Infinite Fates was also a Book of the Month pick. And that's what also made me think like, yeah, you know what? I do think that there's potential there. I think that for the number of ratings, the average rating is relatively low. I mean, it's only 11,000 ratings compared to its predecessors on this list. It's at a 3.74, but it does kind of match what Tracy Deonn is doing in the number of times to be shelved. The fact that it also got a Book of the Month treatment makes me feel like it's going to be on that list, even though maybe I would have shuffled it around somewhere else. A Language of Dragons, I think, is another guarantee. 14,000 ratings, 3.84, 96,000 people have shelved it. I really liked A Language of Dragons so much that I waited for someone to sell their Fairy copy at a very cheap price because I really wanted it. I am excited for the sequel that is going to come out in January, hoping to get my hands on a Fairy Loot edition of it. Just really enjoyed that book and just a lot of the themes in it. But I think that that's a guarantee as well. And honestly, those 10, is that 10? Yeah, those 10 are where I feel super confident. I feel super confident about those 10. Those are the 10 where I'm like, if I was to get 50% of the initial 20 list right, those are going to be the 10 that are on the list. Now, this is where things get a little dicey for me. I have a maybe list here at the bottom of some things that I could throw in for these last 3 slots, but then also I put these in and I'm not sure whether they would fit in here or not. The first one being The Floating World by Axio. We are going to do our maybes in purple. I don't know about Axio. I mean, 5,918 is not bad. I tried not to consider, there are some exceptions to this rule, but I tried not to consider anything that was under 3,000 ratings if it's come out prior to October. I think that based off of what I saw last year, looking at some of the data, I think that there were exceptions for that thought process, but I'll explain when I get to the bottom. These are the only things that I could think of that had over 3,000 ratings and could potentially be on this list. Over 3,000 ratings, I'm sorry. So Axio for me is kind of a maybe here. It's not bad, but you compare it to a Language of Dragons, right? A Language of Dragons has 14,865 ratings. The Floating World only has 5,918. The ratings are so close together, but the number of times they've been shelved very close together. So I'm not sure about that one. I kind of actually, I'm going to go back on this. I feel confident about Fable for the End of the World. I do. I think that Fable for the End of the World would make it before Ava Reed's other book, which is A Theory of Dreaming. I don't think I put A Theory of Dreaming up there, but now that I think about it, I don't think that it will. I'm more likely to see doubles in fiction than in fantasy, which makes me question also my decision to include Every Spiral of Fate by Tahereh Mafi. I do not see them doing a double, so I may strike out. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and put these in red. Now that I'm really looking at, because I just fill this in, I try not to analyze it too much before really going into it. Sorry, I'm a little congested too. I think Fable for the End of the World would make it first. It has 10,000 ratings attached to it. Yes, it's at a 3.7, but also 73,000 people have added it to their shelves. I feel comfortable with that one. I think the Otherwhere post, this was a Good Morning America, I think, book club pick. I still don't feel 100% confident about it. It's doing okay. I mean, 5,940 ratings, a 3.99, 61,000 people have added it to their shelf. That's good. That's very, very good. But I don't know. Same thing with A Forgery of Fate by Elizabeth Lim. Very close to the Otherwhere post, but the rating is much higher. But the number of people who've added to their shelf is much lower. So I'm gonna go with a maybe on that one. Also, I had to take into consideration things that came out last year. Heavily Tyrant by Zhao Zhao came out last year, December, with 13,000 votes or 13,000 ratings, 3.8 and 84,000 people have added it. I don't feel like that would not be on the list. There's a strong piece of me that feels like that should be on the list. Now, we have technically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 slots open because I'm going to take out A Theory of Dreaming and Every Spiral of Fate. I could be wrong about Every Spiral of Fate, and let me explain why. All of those books and those series have been Goodreads Choice Awards nominees. There is a possibility that they could just go with it and it would be on that slate as well. I don't know. I just with Tahereh Mafi having 2 books this year though, that's the part that makes me so hesitant. And I hope my mic hasn't been like jacked up. It probably has, and if it's been muffled, I apologize. I don't know, y'all. I don't feel super confident about it. Should I take it out or should I leave it? Okay, let's just hold off for a second. Let's hold off. And let's look at these things on the bottom here. I'm going to tell you right now, Hazelthorn by C.J. Drews is going to be on that list. C.J. Drews, I think, was a wild card last year. And they were a wild card for me last year because what I noticed with CJ Drews is they typically have late release dates. Hazelthorn is not going to come out until the week after this video gets posted. But, so the ratings are really, really low, right? We're looking at only close to 2,000 as of the time of me filming this video. However, Hazelthorn also got Book of the Month treatment. Their first book, Don't Let the Forest In, did amazingly. I mean, without the Goodreads Choice Awards, I mean, that book did fascinating numbers. It's sitting at a 4.44 and 76,000 people have added it to their shelf. And the book does not come out until the end of the month. That makes me think so differently about that book because its numbers are so close in terms of people who have it shelved. The numbers are so close to some of these other books that have been out for like 5 to 6 months. And it was the same thing with CJ Drews last year, where that was my wild card and I was right about that wild card. I think it's the same thing. I do think it's the same thing. Now, these are where these numbers get a little dicey, right? As you can see, we have some things on here, like Voice of the Ocean. I know for a fact that these numbers, that rating number has changed already. It literally it changed overnight. I potentially wanted to put Chloe Gong on this list. The Chloe Gong book, I don't think comes out until November. I'm pretty sure Cold Wire comes out really late. But I think that I'm pretty sure that it comes out November 4th. So we're still looking at some potential with Cold Wire. The only thing that makes me hesitant is that Hazelthorn has more ratings, but that could just be access to ARCs that changes that. Whereas Chloe Gong, they don't need to provide ARCs in the same way, only because Chloe's been writing for a longer, or I don't want to say because CJ's been writing for a long time too, but they have Chloe's gotten more traction over the years than CJ. CJ literally blew up this past year. I don't know. I don't know. I almost want to say yes to Cold Wire, but then a part of me is like, girl, no. I'm going to keep Chloe as a maybe here. I don't feel like it's strong enough. I do think that The Shadow Bride could be a potential. The first book in the series was a Goodreads Choice Award nominee in the past. I'm going to mark this as a maybe. I think Shelby's other books have also been Goodreads Choice Awards in the past. Oh man, I think a wild card too, the Raven Boys graphic novel. I know that's weird, but it's got a good number attached to it, higher than even Shelby's. It's at a 4.36 and 23,000 or 28,000 people have added it. We're going to move this one up here too. Oh, it didn't do the whole thing. This year for fantasy was a lot harder, I think, than last year for fantasy, because maybe I feel like I'm a little bit more aware than I was last year. That could also be it. All right. I have to make a decision. These are down to these nitty-gritty decisions. I don't feel confident about the ones that are in the 3,000s. I don't. Era Storms for me is also another contender. That's another good one too. But let me throw something else at y'all. The Forest King's Daughter is performing horribly in terms of its let me rephrase that. It's performing not as strong as I think people were hoping for it to perform. And The Forest King's Daughter is on Kindle Unlimited, which you know that Goodreads and Amazon are connected. So the fact that that's on Kindle Unlimited is what made me put it on this list. But numbers wise, it doesn't make sense. But everything that they do does not necessarily make sense. Maybe Air Storms could be on there. I don't know. I'm getting kind of weird about this now because Air Storms was in Book of the Month. I don't think it's Kindle Unlimited, but it's not doing bad. I mean, 61,000 people have added it. This is a hard one, y'all. But I mean, and in terms of numbers wise, it's one of the last high performing ones that I have. I think I'm going to go with it. I'm going to go with it, and I'm going to put it as a maybe on here. I think we're going to do a maybe with this one. I still don't know what I want to do with... I think A Theory and Dreaming I'm going to cross out. I'm going to strike through. I don't think A Theory and Dreaming is going to be on there. I'm going to put a row below. And we're going to... Why? Oh, there we go. And this will put us at... I'm going to leave Every Spiral of Fate. I think that I do think I'm going to be horribly wrong about it, but I'm still going to leave it. Goodness gracious, this is hard. Even looking at these numbers, Air Storms was probably the last really big one, CJ. But see, A Treachery of Swans, I don't think numbers wise. I'm going to go with A Voice of the Ocean. I think it's a wild card. I could be very, very wrong about this one, but I do think it's a wild card. It's at over 4,000 ratings right now. I know I have it at 3.9999, but at the time of filling this out, that's what it was. It's higher now. It's at a 3.8, and 53,000 people have added it. So there's a high interest there. All right. So this is going to be my final list for YA fantasy. We're looking at Sunrise on the Reaping, Fearless, Rebel Witch, Our Infinite Fates, Watch Me, The Rose Bargain, Wings of Starlight, Oathbound, Immortal Consequences, A Language of Dragons, The Floating World, Fable for the End of the World, The Otherwhere Post, A Forgery of Fate, Every Spiral of Fate, Heavenly Tyrant, Hazelthorn, The Shadow Bride, The Raven Boys graphic novel, Air of Storms, and Voice of the Ocean. So let me make sure that that's not more than what I need here, because it could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 20. Oh, it's 21. Okay. So maybe, I didn't realize I had 21. I'm going to take out that category. But I'm going to leave these on the bottom because I'm going to be interested in seeing. I'm going to mark the ones that I chose down here so that I know. Let's mark these in green. These are the ones that I ended up pulling. Hazelthorn and The Raven Boys graphic novel. That is it. My recording stopped, so I don't even know where it stopped. But I'll make it work. But this is the final list. Sunrise on the Reaping, Fearless, Rebel Witch, Our Infinite Fates, Watch Me, The Rose Bargain, Wings of Starlight, Oathbound, Immortal Consequences, A Language of Dragons, The Floating World, Fable for the End of the World, The Otherwhere Post, A Forgery of Fate, Every Spiral of Fate, Heavenly Tyrant, Hazelthorn, The Shadow Bride, The Raven Boys graphic novel, and Air of Storms. These are the 4 that I pulled from the bottom, and these are the ones that I think could also still be maybes. So we'll see how it goes. And then now we're going to go ahead and switch over to YA fiction. All right, y'all. I apologize if the camera angle may have changed. I had to charge my battery pack, unfortunately, very quickly. And so we are going to see if I can remember how to do this once again. And it's, of course, there we go. Now it's working. All right. So we are now looking at our YA fiction predictions. And this one for me is naturally just going to be harder. It's going to be harder because not as many people read young adult fiction, and a lot of the stuff that falls in here is young adult thrillers and romance. The romance is always going to be the hardest to call. I think the thrillers sometimes are a little bit clearer than others. Historical fiction also falls into this arena as well. So we're gonna go through. We're gonna see. I don't know. This is the one that I always feel the weakest dealing with, because it's just life. I'm gonna move my mic up a little bit too. All right, let's start with the most obvious. Is it Anne Leong? I'm probably saying her name incorrectly. Always is the strongest. I'm always confident whenever their stuff is here or is being published. Now, you're going to see that there's 2 that they've published this year, and that's what's going to make it difficult. But I've seen more duplicates in the young adult fiction than I have in the young adult fantasy. So there's that. I'm 100% sure. I'm going to do the same thing. Anything that I feel confident about, I'm going to mark in yellow. I am confident I Am Not Jessica Chen is going to be on there. That is a given for me. Same thing with Glorious Arrivals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Now, here's the thing with Glorious Arrivals. There was also Games Untold that came out in November of last year. I made the decision to go with Glorious Arrivals because I do think that the numbers on Glorious Arrivals were significantly better than Games Untold. So Glorious Rivals, we have 14,577, which is going to be the highest in the highest categories outside of 4 or 5 other titles. The average is 4.11 and 68,000 people have added it to their shelf. So I feel better about that one. I could be wrong. They could duplicate there, but we have some other places where we're going to see some duplicates, and I feel like I'm going to be wrong because I don't see them having 2 authors having duplicates on one list to take up 4 spots. That I don't foresee happening, so I feel like I'm wrong about that. I do feel confident about Libba Bray's Under the Same Stars. Libba Bray has made her comeback to the writing world, although the numbers are not as high. The thing about the YA fiction predictions is, 1, I'm more likely to be wrong in the YA fiction predictions, but 2, also, the numbers are not ever going to be the way they are on young adult fantasy. And that's why I pointed out that young adult fantasy still draws in those adult readers who are very interested in picking up books that are a cross between fantasy and romance. That's why those numbers perform so well. When you start getting to this category, the numbers drop drastically and it becomes more difficult to figure out what exactly should be added to this list. So I am going to go with Under the Same Stars by Libba Bray because it did perform well. It's performing well. It's 5,500 ratings. It's sitting at a 4.09, and then the number of times it's been shelved is what made me feel a little bit better about it, with 79,000, which is even higher than Jessica Chen. So even though it's a significant lower in the number of ratings, it is higher in the number of times it has been shelved. So there's got to be some correlation and some leadway that I think Goodreads does give some of their selections, that even if the number of ratings are not truly high, there is a strong interest there. And I do think that that's something when they talk about their statistics and the data that they analyze, I do think that that is something that they do go over. We have The Thrashers by Julie Soto. I know that Julie Soto has been getting a lot of conversation related to Rose in Chains. I'm not going to do that here. That's not what this is about. But I am reminding people that Julie had another book come out this year, which was a young adult thriller. And this one does have high ratings, 11,000. That's because Julie is a very established author, especially in the adult romance genre. So I feel like a lot of those readers have come over to check this book out. 11,261 ratings, and is still sitting at a 4.07. That's really, really good. And 59,000 people have it on their shelf in some way, shape, or form. So I do think that that one is, for me, is a very strong contender. Now, unlike my young adult fantasy. These are not in order of my confidence. I literally was just filling in where I could fill in, analyzing where I could. So some of these I don't feel comfortable, or not even comfortable, that's not the right word to use. I don't feel confident about them. And They Were Roommates by Paige Powers is one of those books. This one I have not heard a lot about, but I have seen it, and it's not doing bad. I mean, 5,272 is not that far behind Under the Same Stars. The rating is what makes me nervous. It's sitting at a 3.7. The number of times it's been shelved is not low, but it's not high. I mean, it's higher, but it's not the highest. So I'm very hesitant about that one. I'm questioning that one, so I'm putting it as a maybe. Say a Little Prayer by Jenna Voris is one that I read, I loved. I would love to see this one on the Goodreads Choice Awards. I think it is a very well done book. Semicolon, however, comma, the ratings are really low. It is the lowest that I have on this list right now. And this list is sitting at, 17? This is the lowest of all of them. 3,944 is not high. The rating is good. It's a 4. It's one of the highest ratings. However, there's not a lot of people reading it. It's not a lot of people that added it to their shelves. Could I hold out hope and maybe think that they would add this to the list? Yes, but 9 times out of 10, I think I'm going to be wrong. All Better Now by Neil Shusterman is going to be also another wild card for me. I added this one. Neil Shusterman has a huge reader base because of the Arc of the Scythe series, I think, and the Unwind Quartet, whatever that series is called. Unwind, and you guys know what I'm talking about, right? That gave me a little bit of confidence in him as an author, but the data is not what's speaking to me. And when Goodreads does this, a lot of it is data-driven things. It's about promotion, sales, and Neil Shusterman's book is not doing bad. I mean, it's got more ratings than Say a Little Prayer, but the rating is significantly lower. We're looking at a 3.64, and the number of times it's been shelved is super low compared to everything else. And that's 27,888. So I'm very also hesitant about this one. Y'all are going to notice that I'm very, I'm not confident in the YA fiction section. Not this year. This year I don't feel as confident. I feel like I'm probably going to get maybe 7 or 8 right. I think with the YA fantasy, I would get at least 50% of those right. I feel like those are more obvious, but the YA fiction, 7, 8 is, I highly doubt I'm going to get 50% of these selections right. Never Thought I End Up Here, also by Anne. I don't know, because I'm Not Jessica Chen has 15,000, right? They're both rated very highly. We have 4.05 for Never Thought I End Up Here. It's been added 40,000 times. I've seen duplicates in this section. I've seen Lynn Painter get multiples in this section. I've seen multiples happen, especially because they're not a part of this series, but they both perform well, and I don't think that they feel like they have as much content to choose from. I don't feel confident about it, though. I feel very confident about I Am Not Jessica Chen. I feel very confident about that one. I'm not confident about this one, but I'm going to put it up there because I do think there is a possibility that we may see a duplicate with her. While We're Young. Now, here's the thing. I believe I have another KL Wather book on here. Yeah. So we have 2. We have While We Were Young, or While We're Young, which is, it still is While We Are Young, has 5,985, but is sitting at a 3.57 with only 21,000 individuals having it on their shelf. The other book, A First Time for Everything, is sitting at 6,124 votes at a 3.83, and 46,000 people have added it. I feel more confident about A First Time for Everything. To be honest with you, I don't think that While We're Young has enough to make it a duplicate. I will be shocked if While We're Young ends up as a duplicate, but Anne doesn't get a duplicate because Anne's duplicate performed much better than both, actually. Both of K.L. Walther's books, Anne's book performed better than both of them. So I could see them doing a duplicate for Anne, maybe not K.L. so much. Now that I think about it, I don't think, I'm pretty sure that's going to be a no there. No Place Left to Hide. Megan Lawley made the list last year. Love Megan Lawley down, okay? New favorite YA thriller writer. Absolutely adore Megan. No Place Left to Hide is not performing as well as That's Not My Name. It's got 20,000 ratings, which is the highest out of anything on this list, right? But the rating is what makes me so nervous. It's a 3.57. That's not bad, but it cannot shift to drop below that 3.57. So I'm going to go with a confident yes on this. I will be very surprised if Megan does not make this list. Adam Silvera released another book this year. The Survivor Wants to Die at the End. I don't feel like these books are classified as fantasy, but also I could be very, very wrong about that. I felt like they would more so be in fiction, but also I have to remind myself that I'm not good at picking out which genre books should go in. They Both Die at the End was a Goodreads Choice nominee. I can't remember how people have flagged this book. It's so hard to tell. Let's see. Okay. So the first one in the series was Goodreads Choice Award for Young Adult Fiction. Okay, so I feel better about that. I do think The Survivor Wants to Die at the End is going to be on here because other books in the series have been on the Goodreads Choice Awards list. I think all of them have, if I'm not mistaken. This one has 7,609 ratings. It's sitting at a 3.99, which is good. It has 32,000 ads. I'm confident about that one. Same thing for Falling Like Leaves by Misty Wilson. This has been getting a lot of buzz, especially now that we're getting into the fall season. People are looking for fall reads. This has been pushed out a lot. I actually have read this book. I don't know why I didn't mark it. I did read that book. It's 7,999, which has probably gone up since I've added my data. 3.88 is not bad. It's got 48,000 ads. I do think that it's going to be on that list. Now, this one, I'm going to skip. I skipped one. I skipped Nobody in Particular. I'm going to go back to that. My return to the Walter Boys was a weird, off the chain type of thing that happened. Okay. I'm very confused about this because I did not know if this book had already been previously published, because the first book, My Life with the Walter Boys, was originally published in 2014. I think it got a Netflix treatment and it also got republished in 2019. Now, I could not find any previously published editions of this book whatsoever. The only publication things that I see on this are two editions, translated editions that are all 2025, and then this edition that came out April of 2025 from Source Books. I know nothing about this series, know nothing really about Ali Novick. I've seen the covers, but I haven't read them. But this bad boy has 14,436 ratings at a 3.7 with 51,000 ads. This was a wild card for me because this book came out of nowhere. I didn't really hear much about it, but I do think that it has its fan base. Just because I don't know anything about it doesn't mean like, oh, it's not going to do well. That's insane for me to think something like that. But I do feel confident about that one. I feel very, very confident about that one. Nobody in Particular is another wild card for me. And you know who I don't have on this list? And now that I think about it, it's kind of wild for me not to have this human on this list. And I believe that she had a book come out. How did I do this? How did I get this part wrong? Lynn Painter. I can't remember if she's had a YA book come out this year or not, Or she had a middle grade come out this year and she had an adult book. Yes, she did. Fake skating. There's no way she's not going to be on that list, y'all. I'm sorry. Lynn Painter is always going to be on this list. I mean, love her, hate her, no matter what you feel, Lynn Painter is going to be on this list. She's another one that has a very loyal fan base, and the ratings already are going to let you know. It's 12,960, 4.31. And I don't know, I'm on my phone right now, so I don't know if I can really see I probably can't see the stats. I'm going to open up a tab on Goodreads. I had to do this last year too, because I did something and I was like, oh, I don't know where these things are, blah, 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 blah. Just kind of weird things I got going on. I can't believe, and it's amazing that you get so acclimated to certain authors that then it becomes a thing of, okay, like I know that if you release a book within a given year, I know that you're going to be on the list. Yeah. 97,000 people have added this. Absolutely. No, I don't want to do that. Why are you doing that? Okay. Fake skating. That's a definite. I'm sorry. I know this. I'm jumping around in this weird, but I just looked at my list and I was like, wait, that doesn't make any sense. Fake skating is going to be a definite. Let's go back to Nobody in Particular by Sophie Gonzalez. This is doing so well in terms of rating. I mean, the number of people who've added it to their shelf is decent. It's got 4,900 ratings attached to it, but the rating is a 4.08, which I think is good. Am I kind of questioning whether Goodreads would actually do that or not? Yeah, strongly. I really am. I would like to see it on there, but I don't think it's going to be a thing. Same thing with Darkly by Marisha Pessel. This is one that came out last year. Darkly, I feel like, is a thriller, which is why I think it was my inclination to put it on this list. It's got 5,399 views. It's got 5,399 ratings, which is not, well, now that's changed. See, this is how quick this data changes, because now looking at Goodreads, it's at 5,401. So coming out last year, it came out November 26th of last year. It's eligible. It is a thriller. I think that it's a possibility. I'm going to put a maybe on it. I'm going to put a maybe on that one. Dating and Dragons by Christy Boyce. I'm going to say is a definite yes. Not just because of the numbers, but Christy Boyce also was on the list for the first book in the series last year. I did enjoy it. I read it. I gave it like a 3 or 3.5. Of course, this next one is performing well. It's got 15,000 ratings, sitting at a 3.97, which is still really strong. And it's got 43,000 ads. For a sequel, that's not bad. So looking over this list right now, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So we need to add 3 more because I'm going to say While We're Young, I just don't see them. I'll actually low-key kind of be pissed if they give KL a duplicate and not give Anne a duplicate, because Anne's books are performing better. So we need to add 3 more titles. So we have space for 3 more titles. Now this is where it gets weird, because these numbers are not good. Now I would automatically put Heartstopper on this list because Heartstopper was one that I did not take into consideration last year. It's not coming out till next year. So that knocked that off. I was thinking about Marissa Meyer's new graphic novel. I just don't think that it pulled enough numbers to justify it being on this list. Now, we have Needy Little Things, which I enjoyed. I read, but I don't think the numbers are going to justify having it on there. It just hasn't, enough people have not read the book yet. Afterlife by Gail Forman. I read it. It was okay. I mean, a 3.61 is not the strongest, but also a 3.61 is doing better than some other ones that I have had on this list. 21,000 ads. People love Gail Forman. I'm gonna put Gail Forman up here, but I'm gonna do it as a maybe. Audrey and Bash are just friends. Love that book. It doesn't have as many ratings. We're only looking at 3,482. But once again, here's the thing. We have to remember that these numbers already are not going to be super high outside of the people who continuously perform well. So Audrey and Bash are just friends. Not high per se. But you know what? I'm gonna put it up there, and I'm gonna put it up there as a maybe. 3,482 at a 4.09, 24,000 ads. I mean, I still think that that's somewhat decent. Now we get down to the other two. There's got to be a handful of titles here that I maybe missed. There's got to be something. I'm sorry, I just want another row in between that. There's got to be something here that I missed that just is not clicking. It's not coming to my mind right now. That's the only thing I could think of. The only two choices that I could think of left was Arrival by Emma Lord and We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall. Emma Lord's is just not, I don't think that those numbers are good enough. That rating is really worrisome to me, and I don't think that it's going to hold strong enough. We Won't All Survive by Kate Alice Marshall. I just feel like I need to have another thriller on here. Karen McManus didn't release anything this year to my knowledge. I'm going to double check right now. She typically makes a list, but I don't think she's released anything that, I mean, I would know because I read everything that she publishes, and I have not gotten wind of anything releasing this year. Yeah, nothing. So she doesn't have anything coming out this year. You know what I could throw out there is a very weird random wild card, but I don't think it's going to do it. I mean, it just came out, but that doesn't mean anything. The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson just came out in October. I just don't, it's only got 1,200 ratings on it, but the ratings are good, but I don't think enough people have added it, because I'm trying to think of it as a Hazelthorne by C.G. Drews, which I apologize, y'all. I called C.G. Drews C.J., and I don't know why I do that with G's and J's. Very interesting thing that I do. It's got 24,000 people adding it to their shelves. That's not as high as something like Hazelthorne, but Hazelthorne also is fantasy, and fantasy and fiction they're so different when we're talking about young adult. I feel like I want to do it. I want to put The Scammer on here. Do I think I'm going to be right about this? No. I don't think I'm going to be right. I would love to see a little bit more diversity on these lists, but that's not the name of the game, because what's diverse is not always what is popular. I mean, we do see some, but not always. I'm going to put this as a maybe. That's the only other thriller. I mean, We Won't All Survive came out earlier than The Scammer, and the numbers are not super far removed, and the rating on We Won't All Survive is so low compared to Tiffany's. I don't know. I could be pushing it by making this assumption, but I think that there is potential. I mean, it was a New York Times best-selling book. It's gotten really, really good traction. I wonder if, so Karen McManus didn't release anything. My other friend that I love to read, she did an adult book this year. And so I'm talking about Holly Jackson. Sorry, I said my friend. I do not know Holly, okay? Let me just go ahead and put that out there. I don't know Holly, but I've also read everything that Holly has done. I haven't read her adult book yet this year, which is Not Quite Dead Yet. And she's not releasing a young adult book this year. So, I mean, I could be wrong in saying that we need another thriller, but I mean, the only thrillers that were on this list, honestly, is the Thrashers. All Better Now, I think, has some thrillery aspects to it. Megan Lawley's book. And literally, maybe Darkly, if it makes it. And then The Scammer. Those would be the only ones. I don't know. I'm going to mark these two in green because these are ones that I did end up moving. Needy Little Things. I mean, I wanted to see it, but I don't think it'll be up there. The Rival. No. We Won't All Survive. I think it'll be between those two. Could I be wrong? Absolutely. I'm known to be wrong. Let's make sure our count is right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So those are my final 20. I Am Not Jessica Chen, Glorious Rivals, Under the Same Stars, The Thrashers, And They Were Roommates, Say a Little Prayer, All Better Now, Never Thought I'd End Up Here, No Place Left to Hide, The Survivor Wants to Die at the End, Falling Like Leaves, Nobody in Particular, My Return to the Walter Boys, A First Time for Everything, Darkly, Dating and Dragons, Fake Skating, Afterlife, Audrey and Bash Are Just Friends, and The Scammer. So I only feel confident about, 4, 7, 12, 11, maybe 11 of them. And I highly doubt I'm going to get all those 11 correct. Fantasy, let's see how many I felt good about. I said 11 for fiction. I felt a lot more confident in fantasy. See 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So just a couple more in fantasy, but I feel like the ones that I'm confident in, I'm more likely to get right in fantasy. So there's that. All right, y'all. That's it, friends. Like, that is it. Those are my young adult fantasy, young adult fiction, Goodreads Choice Awards predictions. If I left anything out, let me know in the comment box down below. As always, let me know what you think your predictions would be, or if you feel strongly about anything that I listed as predictions. As always, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. And if you're looking to support the channel, all the links will be down in the description box below, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye!